And good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Jason Mann with Jim Check, Kelowna Now Live on YouTube and X for your Tuesday evening. Topping our headlines this evening, extreme population growth is harming Canada's economy. Canada is stuck in a population trap after a staggering number of immigrants moving to the country in recent years, says the National Bank of Canada.
Who would have thought, hey? You know, because I thought it was the Airbnbs that were causing all the housing shortages, wasn't it? Wasn't Airbnbs? Because I'm pretty sure the Liberal government said we need to punish people that own Airbnbs, and the province said that as well. Never once saying it could be immigration that is
a million
causing
people looking for homes.
So, pointing to last year's record-breaking population growth, an increase of over 1.2 million people, with a national total now estimated to be 40.8 million. The National Bank of Canada says the situation is so extreme that it's hurting the Canadian economy.
It's math, Jim.
The bank's report explains that Canada is in a population trap for the first time in modern history, meaning no increase in living standards is possible because the population is growing too fast.
Wow.
Shocking stuff that it seems like common sense, yet they didn't want to talk about it. Can we put up this graph, this unprecedented surge? I don't know if we had it up already, the one with that spiking there. That one there. Look at that. So and that goes back to 1950, where we kind of have between 3 and 500,000 people coming to Canada, right? There's the big boom there, I think, from the late Newfoundland joins Canada, so that's understandable, right?
But the impact of that is all those Newfoundlanders would have already had homes, so it's not like
well, they're just joining Canada.
Yeah.
The federal government said late last year that it wants to bring in 485,000 new permanent residents in 2024, then 500,000 in 2025, students and temporary workers to make up the rest of the numbers. That plan prioritizes economic growth. The government said then, well, last week, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland said much the same, adding, Canada has a social capacity to welcome immigrants. And we said then social capacity maybe, but like housing, education, and
infrastructure capacity,
hospitals. The National Bank of Canada seems to think like we do and disagrees with these assertions, keeping in mind that Canada's population increased by more than 1.2 million in 2023, an incredible number given that it followed a rebound of 825,000 in 2022. So over 2 years, 2 million people. That's
Canada's
and then they say they don't understand why rent's going up and why there's no housing.
Yeah.
So these are staggering numbers when you consider that prior to this, you would have to go back to 1949 when Newfoundland joined the Federation to see our country's population increase by more than 600,000. They add, to put things in perspective, Canada's population growth in 2023 was 3.2%, 5 times higher than the OECD average. Our country's current population growth appears extreme relative to the absorptive capacity of the economy and the fact that the workforce is not aging faster than the OECD average.
How much bigger will these tent cities be if this continues for another year or two?
The struggle to absorb the large number of arrivals is the most evident in housing, the report says. I mean, it's just common sense math, right? It's just common sense math, right? It points to a record deficit in housing starts. Can we pull this one up, the Canada Standard of Living? No, I think it's that one. There you go. It points to a record deficit in housing starts per person entering the workforce. 1 start for every 4.2 new workers. I mean, it just says that's it. It says to meet demand and slow down prices rises in housings, Canada would need to double its construction capacity to $700,000 homes per year.
Well, you'd have to,
a number it dismisses as completely unattainable.
Yeah.
And yet they stand up there at the podium all the time and talk just utter nonsense, and they just talk,
fables.
Talk rhetoric, right?
Mm-hmm.
And blame it on things like Airbnb and stuff like that that's taking away housing, when it's clear that this is what's causing it, right? Now,
poor
it's
management,
really great
bad
that
decisions.
The National Bank of Canada and many other economists has now come forward and said this is really what's happening. And where has been the media calling the federal government to account on some of this stuff? Hopefully this spurs them to start asking some really tough questions, right?
I mean, it's basic math.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, you can go to KelownaNow.com. Ian did a really good job. Ian Burns did a really good job putting this story together. The Conservative Party leader, Pierre Poilievre, said he would link immigration numbers to housing bills if he became prime minister. Makes sense, right?
Totally.
Like, we need immigrants in Canada. There's no doubt about it, right? A lot of
value.
But we have to do it in a responsible manner so that we don't
Sustainable.
overrun our
There's a
we
word.
don't overrun our hospitals, right? Because I talked to a coworker today, and she said that her 70-year-old mother had to wait 30 hours just to see a doctor, and yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's all over the place. In December, the Bank of Canada Deputy Governor Tony Gravel also weighed in the debate, saying that the high levels of immigration coincided with slow house building, and it's driving up rent and house prices. Again, this is common sense, right? It's just common sense. And the feds again and the province say it's the Airbnbs causing the problems. If the feds came out and said, Airbnbs are even going to make it illegal to make deductions on Airbnbs, and the province is basically taking away properties for the people that bought for those purposes
and property rights.
But not once recognizing that the immigration may have been causing all these problems. Not that immigration is a bad thing, but just it should be done in a responsible manner,
sustainable manner, right?
They talk about sustainability and everything else, right? Sustainable greenhouse, like all that stuff, sustainable energy, sustainable this. But how do they keep doing this? And anyway. Okay. So go on clonernow.com. Read that story. There's so many people suffering in Canada, and it could be fixed. And if we had a government that would
needs to be responsive,
start telling the truth,
it needs to be responsive.
Start telling the truth.
Yeah. Well, we have an update on a story that we covered earlier today. Condition of the head-on crash on Highway 97. There's 4 dead and 1 in critical condition is our update, I guess. It was after 9 a.m. this morning when officers received multiple calls about a 2-vehicle head-on collision near Monty Lake. You know that windy road there?
Yeah, I do. It's really windy through there.
Yeah. Well, it's
not my favorite area to drive.
I know.
Sure.
It's a little dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So 5 people involved and 4 did not make it, and 1 is still in trouble.
Highway's open now, though, right?
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And it looks like driving conditions are going to continue to be a little sus. Up to 20 centimeters of snow expected across the Okanagan Valley, Similkameen, Coquihalla.
By sus, you mean suspect? Is
yes, that's what the kids say.
I must be too old for that word. So they're expecting 10 to 20 centimeters fall across the Okanagan Valley and fire up that snowblower.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Make sure you got a snow shovel ready, or however you're clearing your walks. Wear those winter boots in the morning. Have them by the door. Some mittens. And if you're going to shovel, make sure you're bundled up nice and warm and don't overexert yourself. You definitely don't want to have a heart attack because you don't want to wait in that lineup.
No, you don't.
You do not want to be in that lineup. So just take extra care in everything you do. Take extra care in what you eat. Take extra care in everything you do.
Everything.
Try not to be part of the stats there, right?
Yeah, I think that's a double story there. Kelowna Liquor Store has avoided a hefty fine after selling alcohol to a minor.
That's that liquor store out there in Rutland there, Kelowna Liquor Store. But yeah, Bears End Liquor Store. And according to a decision from the Liquor and Cannabis, that's the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Board, posted on January 6th, the Bears End Liquor Store in Rutland avoided a 7 to 11-day suspension and a liquor license fine of $7,000 to $11,000. In July 2023, they carried out their random inspection with a minor agent who went in the store, picked up a single can of cider from a cooler, bought it, and paid for the can and left the store. The minor was not asked for ID, according to the inspectors. They entered the store, notified the cashier they sold alcohol to some 119. The licensee admitted the employee sold the liquor. Bears End has like 10 retail liquor stores, and the owners who acted as licensee representative of the case also operate 2 primary food establishments. And what they did say is that they operate their own mystery shopping, and they do about 151 those mystery shops in 12 years with 133 passes and 18 fails. So that's an 83 pass rate. So they did show that they have a process in place, so that the liquor board gave them a break.
So it's like an A- in high school or a participation trophy. They get a pass. Okay.
So it showed that they were doing some work anyway. Right?
Vancouver police are spending millions to keep peace amid surge in protests about the Israel-Hamas war. So obviously...
yeah, we've seen those all over the internet and TV and that. You see these protests that got pretty hot, right? Like, like the hate crimes in the city sparked far more protests than usual, with policing for the events costing millions. Police say they investigated 265 reports of hate crimes in 2023, a 31% jump from the previous years, including those related to South Asian, LGBTQ+, and the Jewish communities. Figures released by the department shows reports of anti-Semitism rose 62% last year, with 33 out of 47 incidents in 2023 happening after October 7th, when Hamas launched a war against Israel. Police say they investigated 50 criminal offenses connected to the Israel-Hamas war, including assaults against officers and obstructing police. Since the war started, the department says it spent this is just in Vancouver, right? $2.5 million in overtime costs, and $4 million for the entire year.
Wow.
So there you go. And the money will get pulled from the large budget. So all those protests, and a lot of them are really heated, right? Like super heated. Yep.
Yeah. Go on about that. Just need a little more peace and love, and hopefully this conflict can get resolved. Urban Fare has notified us that yogurt parfaits sold in BC have been recalled due to potential salmonella contamination.
Maybe that's salmonella going around. So if you purchased a parfait that was made with using granola, recall it's been Quaker Canada on January 11th triggered the recall, right? So it's the granola.
The granola in the parfait.
So yeah, so if you have any of that stuff, go to colonelnow.com, check the tags there, and
salmonella can be bad.
Yeah, just don't eat it.
Yeah, and it's a fairly short-lived recall, because I think the product is out of date as of like the 19th of January or something. Avalanche control work will close Highway 1 west of Revelstoke tomorrow. So if you're planning on heading Highway 1, be prepared to delay your trip by a couple of hours along the way. They are going to be doing avalanche control work from...
Sounds like they're doing it early in the morning. So the closure will be happening in the Three Valley Gap between Griffin Lake Avalanche Gate and Clan William OH Bridge. There will be no detour. There's no detour in that area for sure. When the highway closes, anyone traveling in the early morning should prepare for the delays. Maybe like hang out in Revelstoke, or hang out, and have some breakfast and have a nice long breakfast. It's good places.
There's some cool little shops in
breakfast. Some places to avoid too.
Yeah. Go into the town.
Reminded to keep an eye out for traffic control personnel. Environment Canada also warning of limited visibility and potential hazard drivers conditions on Highway 1. So there's that snowfall warning again from the Eagle Pass to Rogers Pass, saying between 15 and 20 centimeters of snow. A tough time to drive when it's coming down that heavy too, right? When there's plows out there too, right? So be respectful of the plows if you're out there as well. Try not to pass plows because you can't see, right? So you know what I mean? Like, better to pull over and just kind of like find some zen, and just I don't know, pull over and talk to somebody or talk to yourself.
Well, Kelowna Council is applauding a developer's plans for a lot on Dilworth Mountain. We showed you this yesterday.
650 units to be built at the base of Dilworth Drive on Monday. 1097 Dilworth Drive, an 8-hectare. You know how big a hectare is? How big is a hectare?
Size of the Apple Bowl?
There you go. 8 of those Apple Bowls that is adjacent to the Okanagan Rail Trail was rezoned to MF3 apartment housing and P3 parks and open space. The change will also for future residential parks, park space, and new road corridor. Again, you can head to colonelnow.com. The developer for this project is Kelowna-based Warman Home. Built a lot of homes in this area.
Yeah, they're good.
Sure.
Reputation builder, right? Well, Renee Merrifield has made another contribution to Kelowna Now, and her latest column, well, she's very concerned about having an energy shortage here in the Okanagan.
Yeah, this is related to the BC government saying no to Fortis for that new pipeline.
Why would they do that?
We're going to have 2 guys in from Fortis on Friday, and we're going to ask them. So there you go. You can go ahead and read. There was a BC Utilities Commission that rejected Fortis BC's plans. So we're going to talk to people from Fortis. So if you're interested in that, you tune in on Friday, and you will get a chance. And if you got some questions, you can shoot them in to the 2 guests from Fortis and Jason and I. And
that's Friday at 2? Yeah.
Sophie says yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sophie. If you like bluegrass music, you're going to love this. The Dead South will be bringing back their folk bluegrass sound back to Kelowna.
They played multiple shows, but never like this. The four-piece band out of Saskatchewan will bring their iconic sound back to the Central Okanagan later this year. Over the years, their Kelowna shows have continued to grow in size, and this time they'll be playing at the city's largest indoor venue. Where's that? Do you know what that is? Prospero Place.
I was going to say the South Okanagan Event Center.
Wow.
Oh.
Bada bing, right? There you go. Tickets to see the Dead South in Kelowna will go on sale through Live Nation at 10 a.m. on Friday, January 19th.
Okay.
So there you go.
Sounds like fun.
So again, it's going to snow.
We got snow in the forecast, heavy snowfall warning.
Winter boots, scarves. Put them all by the door, right?
Candles.
Gloves, candles. Make
Get
sure
all the
your
warm
car's
stuff.
prepared, right? Give yourself a little extra time when you're getting ready to come to work. Warm up your car. I know there's a bylaw thing. You turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on.
I was really...
or take the chance and just run it a bit so that it's warm. Better to run it and take the chance of getting a ticket for having it idle and see through the windshield.
Do you know what I mean? Or, not have a frozen dog or not have a frozen
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can see through the windshield, that's a good thing, right? That's a positive.
As we're learning.
I've seen people drive where they have just like one little snow patch there, and they're kind of like sticking their head out the window.
little tiny unfrozen spot covered in snow everywhere else.
Here's a tip. Get up earlier and let your car and sweep the whole thing off. Right? And the other good idea when you're sweeping your car off, not just the windshield, the hood. Because guess where the snow comes onto the windshield from the hood, right? So common sense, right? So take a little extra time. That's our ask for this afternoon.
Set your clock, about half an hour early tomorrow then.
If it snows. And if it doesn't snow, you can send all the kind of nasty stuff you want to us and tell us that we don't know what we're talking about. But if it does snow, you can say, hey, we watched Jason and Jim and we're prepared. Right? All right. There you go. So until tomorrow morning.
Enjoy the sunset that is just slowly starting to make its way across the sky there.
Stay warm, stay safe. Sorry for the rant, but once it's just frustrating to see so many people suffering and the government not acknowledging what's causing the problem when they are the ones causing the problem.
I have to agree with that.
There you go. Again, thank you from us at Kelowna Now. We'll see you at 9 a.m.